Hi everybody, how are you doing? Welcome to Now That's Like a Music 121. Wow. We are now 42 and a bit years into the Now journey. What an incredible journey it's been. For me personally, because I've gone through every single one of these in review. For the Now people who've compiled all these since the 1980s. And for the world at large, really, as we go into ever new eras of whatever, really. It's all very dystopian in some ways, in other ways, it's business as usual. Let's not forget when these Now started, it was all pretty dystopian then with the Cold War and the sort of the depths or heights of Thatcherism and Reaganism, according to Viewpoint. The Nows have taken us through all sorts of different eras, and it's always really useful to look at the kind of climate, the cultural climate. If you're doing any kind of research into anything that's happened over the last literal 42 years, it might be worth finding out what Now was around at that time, having a listen, and that will give you a kind of flavour of the kind of styles and the technology and the attitudes and the themes of the day. So what does this one tell us about right now then? What does it say about these times we live in then? Well, pop music's always pop music, so pop's always going to put the pop filter on whatever world it lives in. So in that sense, some things are pretty much the same ever since Now 1, and that is that pop stars will have funny clothes and funny coloured hair, and they'll gyrate around, and they'll have a bit of an ego, and they'll be a bit kind of exhibitionist. None of that's changed in all the time, really, when you think we started with people like Boy George, Duran Duran. Songs have always more or less had the same kind of elements. Certainly from Now 1, we've been in the kind of electronic, what I call the MIDI era. So I think really from the very beginning it's been a kind of electronic pop journey, although not everything, as you will hear, is electronic. But it ends up with a kind of electronic sheen and electronic mastering, and it brings all these songs to a kind of a consistency that I think does go through the years. And I do think there is a certain X factor that does link songs on Now 1 with this one. And with your help, because I really do want your feedback and opinions and what you think, we'll find out which of these songs really do tap into that pantheon of all-time great pop classics. Yes, they are from a certain period in time. Yes, they come from a certain scene or a certain genre, but they go beyond that and they become just the fabric of pop history. You know what? I think this first song might well do that. It's an absolutely stunning opener. It's possibly one of the best things Calvin Harris has ever done. It's really up there. I've been yakking through most of it, but it's an absolutely brilliant way to open this album. And it features Clementine Douglas on vocals. Not the only time on this album, I'm pleased to say. She comes back in a bit. Be hearing more from her. What a really kind of uplifting way. And it's got kind of energy, and it's almost got a kind of slightly nervy quality, certainly in some of the synths. But above it all, it's just uplifting and kind of quasi-spiritual in cool things like Blessings, you know. It's really cut from the kind of cloth that all the classic rave stuff always was. And it's Scottish in the Calvin element anyway, and we'll be coming on to that lately. Or later, should I say. Not for the first time on these Nows. Scotland makes its presence very well known. Now 2. Do you remember that? Matthew Wilder, Break My Stride. I think I might have even reluctantly made it worst song on the album, which I'm a little bit bad about, because it's not a bad song at all. But there were no really bad songs on Now 2. Maybe The Politics of Dancing by Reflex is a bit dull. But I did say about the Matthew Wilder song, but God, who makes songs like this? No one makes songs like this these days. Well, Sabrina Carpenter sounds like she's taken all the kind of sounds that were put down by Matthew Wilder, gone into the studio after he's been in there, about 41 years later. Let's say the studio's been abandoned for 41 years. They've turned on over gear, and this is what's come up. Now, actually, Manchild, as the song name, also made its appearance on Now 15 from Nene Cherry, albeit in a very different style. So she's got instruments from Now 2 and a song title from Now 15. And in fact, it's possibly one of her best yet. It's pretty catchy, it's pretty upbeat. I think there's a clean and a rude version. I'm not interested in the rude version. Doing this sort of thing is kind of inappropriate, really. So, yeah, we'll stick with this one. That's Sabrina. We follow this one with the return of Ed Sheeran, Azizam. Wow, I'll get a bit of that one on because I say the long-awaited return of Ed. It's not been that long, really. And has it really been awaited? But he's back. I think last time he was on the Now, he had about 4 songs on the one Now, which was maybe a bit of overkill. So I needed a bit of a breather. He's gone off on his travels. He's gone around the world. I believe he's gone to Iran, of all places. And what he's come back with is a song called Azizam. So there we go with Sabrina Carpenter and Manchild. Matthew Wilder, Lives Again. Now this one's very, it's kind of very different, kind of not. It's still basically at heart a good old Ed Sheeran song. Maybe not one of his very best, not one of his worst. So at heart it's basically Ed Sheeran doing what he does. But it's got some interesting Asian elements to it. And they're done in a kind of surprisingly tasteful way. It doesn't really feel contrived or exploitative in any way. It feels like he's been travelling and he's assimilated what he's heard into his sound, and this is what he's come up with. It's not going to lead to more beef, but it spreads a bit of positivity, and that's much needed at the moment. Now, Tate McRae also goes Asian with Sports Car. I don't really know why, because it feels a bit kind of more laborious somehow. Whereas Ed feels like he's been hanging out in Iran and maybe played with some Iranian musicians and, just picked it all up. The Tate McRae one feels very kind of contrived and painted on, and just sort of touristy, like he touched down for a day, maybe. And then that was that. Read an article about it on Wikipedia, put a few sounds in, and then that was that. I don't even know if it is Iranian. It's just sort of general Asian-ish vibe. And she's simple still, so we don't really like that one. Sports Car. Now, disappointing one from Lady Gaga and Abracadabra. That was the song name for, do you know, back in the 80s? Steve Miller Band, not the Ed Miller Band. Steve Miller Band did a song called Abracadabra. This is not that. It's Lady Gaga, and do we really need her to go back to her kind of satanic folk stuff? I thought she got all that silliness out of her system, just doing proper stuff these days. Who that, quote, hell, unquote, in real life, who do you know has anything to do with these sort of demonic Hollywood rituals? It's totally phony and contrived, it's got nothing to do with anything, and it's musically really poor. It's just a hodgepodge with snippets of sound. It's got no overriding cohesive qualities to it. And I'd rather listen to my local church choir singing Everything's Bright and Beautiful. Maybe it's just me, but I think it's garbage. Sorry, because she's getting quite good as well. Benson Boone, Mystical, Magical. Gosh, we're really going into a pseudo science, aren't we here? Abracadabra, Mystical and Magical. Is it mystical? Is it magical? It's definitely not kind of satanic in a way that the Gaga one is pretty blatantly. It's a bit overwrought, it's oversung, it's overproduced, and it's overmastered. So it's kind of over everything, and luckily it's over fairly quickly as well too. It's not too bad. I mean, I quite like Benson. He can be simpering, he can be really good. And it actually reminds me a bit of Let's Get Physical, Physical. Remember that one? Or was that before your time? Probably, if you're as young as me. I think it was Olivia Newton-John, they tell me. Anyway, it sounds like that. That's Benson Boone and Magical, Mystical. Now, someone who really is good, and this one is good, but in a very different way from normal, Chappelle Roan. I've liked everything she's done. I think she's a good singer. Her songs are good, And it, not putting it bluntly, it shows that it's possible to not look like Sabrina Carpenter and actually still be really good and really, make great music. I would not have expected her to go as kind of line dancing Shania Twain as this, but that's what she's done, and she does it well, so I ain't complaining. It's got a proper tune, Now, we follow this one up with someone called Ravine, or is it Ravin? Ravin Lene and Love Me Not, which is a dialectic. It's actually an antithesis. The antithesis to love me. She loves me. She loves me not. This is antithesis. So, how philosophically good is it? Well, 6 out of every 8 words are fine. Maybe a couple of every 8 are a bit annoying in kind of tone and delivery. It's pretty strong and it's well arranged and produced. It's got quite a good tune and sort of fairly interesting lyrics. We'll give it a bit of a play then. Ravine, Lene, and Love Me Not. Not Love Me Do. That was the Beatles. Oh, I get it. Very clever. Very, very clever. I don't know if that was intentional. If it was, nice one. Nice wordplay. Although that would have probably been Love Me Don't, wouldn't it? Or Love Me Ain't. Anyway, here's the song itself. Love Me Negative. Don't Love Me, maybe. How about that? Right, where were we? Somber and Undressed. Uncapitalised band name, uncapitalised song name. And uncapitalised review, really. It's sort of Teddy Swims, but not as good. Ish. It's got that kind of big distortion soap vocal sound and a big heavy band sound, like Teddy Swims. It's not totally sold on the actual tune, which is a bit lacking, really. It's not the best melody I've ever heard in my life. But the sound is good, and towards the end it gets kind of swirlier and swirlier, so it's pretty good. Follow that one up with Alex Warren and an uncredited bonus, which is big and rousing and uplifting, and it's definitely coming from a good place. It's not really something I listen to at home on my own, but it would work as a stadium sing-along thing. That's Burning Down. Now, Twilight Zone. Let's get this one stacked up. It's Ariana, and it's not the first song on an album to be called Twilight Zone. If you had Now 21, you would have had 2 Unlimited. And I mentioned that in a kind of audio tribute, in a certain extent, to the wonders of Rod Serling. I don't know if this is also dedicated to the great man, but if it makes even a single person check out the TV show The Twilight Zone, even if it's on accident, that's got to be good. So yeah, Ariana, she's got a lovely voice. She really does. She's a really nice singer to listen to. And when her songs are there, it's great. When there's a great melody to kind of mop up her vocals, like we say, yes and, even if it does come from old songs, like Pink Cadillac in that case, Busted. But, you know, without the actual melody, it's okay. It just needs that kind of oomph. The melody itself is really not all that, but the music's nice, it's soft, it's got that kind of more Katie sheen, and it's just not really very catchy. Now, one that I would have expected maybe more from Chappelle in terms of the musical stylings is the one that we get from Jade, F-U-F-N, which means, hold on to your hats folks, it's Profanity Alert. Tricky, because in this case the profanity relates to the title itself, F-U, effing now, let's say. So the swearing is kind of built into that. It's another of these kind of sweary girl ones that I just don't want to listen to. It's unladylike. I wouldn't want someone like that in my own life. I don't want to listen to them on the stereo. It's just not the kind of thing I want in my life. And she looks like a little girl trying too hard to be a grown up and therefore failing. Sorry love, better luck next time. Alright, shame because the music's not bad. However, it's a million miles better than Sky Newman. Oh dear. I think before this, Ash Nico or maybe Ice Spice had set a record for the shortest I'd listened to a song. We get to about 3 syllables with Hairdresser, which at least isn't an original name, I suppose. But it didn't make the cut. It really didn't. I had to snip it. Crack of the crew cut, really, that short. 3 syllables and I'm out. Possibly the shortest time I've ever stuck with a song on an hour. I don't want to be rude, but I'd heard everything I needed to hear after 3 syllables and didn't need to hear any more. That was 1 syllable more than Lola Young though, because one thing, well, that's about as long as I lasted with that one. Maybe 1 syllable, maybe 2, and I just yanked the off button. I think we're in Freak's Corner now. So, no thank you, worthless shite there. Olivia Dean saying, be nice to each other. Well, I will if the music's there, Olivia. Yours is alright actually. Yeah, I could be nice to this one. It's really not bad at all. I don't think the last one was brilliant. And again, this one's not going to set the world alight. But it's alright, and that's a nice sentiment indeed. So there's Ariana and Twilight Zone. Here is Olivia Dean and Being Nice to Each Other. Kind of reminds me a bit of Fleetwood Mac and Dreams or something like that. Um, so yeah, it's nice and fairly soft. It's kind of upbeat, but not really up tempo, not really upbeat. It's fast, but it's kind of soft as well. So yeah, this one's alright. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Now, Lana Del Rey, she's just like Billie Eilish. She's so slow. Almost interchangeable. It's definitely slow. It's all very nice. It doesn't get me switching off violently like Sky Newman or Lola Young. And the lyrics seem quite interesting. My Hoover's called Henry, and I'm shouting, "Come on, Henry," to my Hoover. So if you're talking to a vacuum cleaner, one wonders. Talking of Hoovers, it would be better if it had some hard house Hoovers all over it. That would really help. But it doesn't. Now, a life lesson for Lola Young and Sky Newman. Once upon a time, Charlie XCX used to languish at the bottom of these worst song of an album regularly. But, you know, she had her moments, and she's kind of picked herself up out of that relegation zone. Even, I don't think she ever made best song. But Party For You, yeah, you know, it's not as good as the previous one, the Apple one. It's not bad. It's just a bit of a mess, really. It's a weird one. It's kind of unfulfilling. Doesn't really know what it wants to be. It's like there's two different beats in it, neither of which really galvanise into place. And it's sort of like it's not really one thing nor the other. It's kind of well produced. It's kind of nice production. Credit to her if she did that herself, or credit to whoever did it. It has got some really nice and unorthodox chord runs in the middle, and they're pretty good. It's not the best thing about it. There's definitely something going on there. It just kind of comes out jumbled, a bit lacking. Now, funnily enough, Haim has a similar kind of formula with relationships, but it comes out way better somehow. I don't really know why. Maybe it's just got a better song, and it's kind of better sang, and it's just, yeah, more of a strong song. But it has got a lot of the same elements and the same kind of aesthetics as that one that we just played, or did not play, but we reviewed from Charlie XCX. The one we just played was Olivia Dean. This is Haim and Relationships. Yeah, it's alright. It's quite nice indeed. Now, we're kind of building up for a good strong ending now. We follow this one up with Getter and Sear, both back after a while, and by no means their first rodeo. In fact, Titanium was an absolute standout of the Naughties, one of the best songs of the Nows of the Naughties. Really good song. About 15 years old now, wow. Certainly over 10 years, and this one's nowhere near as good as that. But I will say David brings out something really good about Sear's voice. She does do well on this one. The melody's not bad at all, pretty uplifting, and although it's hardly likely to be anywhere near as much of a classic as Titanium, I love, pretty durable. So, science geeks, what metal is not quite as durable and shiny as Titanium, but not bad. Aluminium, maybe? Now we have a really strong final three. And we start with the weirdly named, well, Max Dean's not a very weird name. Max Dean and Luke Dean and Lockie. Two Deans and a Lockie. Can't decide. Yeah, we've got some proper club action now. We're really going a bit more underground. And it's almost a bit acid housey in a funny sort of way in the groove. It's a very deep, clubby vibe. It's squelchy, it's got some nice phasing synths. And the vocals are good, they're non-standard, semi-rap, semi-sound, quite clubby, very kind of staccato. I'm not going to be able to play a lot of it because I'm going to play the next one as well. Maybe even the one after that. So this is Max Dean and Luke Dean and Lucky and Can't Decide, give you a little flavour of that. But we're coming back now with Sunny Federa and an absolute textbook club tune. It also features yet again Clementine Douglas, and yet again she's on brilliant form with this one. Brilliant form indeed. So just an absolute little bit there of Can't Decide, but we're going to follow that one up with Tell Me. Possibly a contender for Song of the Album or Song of the Side so far. Yeah, it's just got a really nice intro. It builds, it's got really good chords, and it builds up the suspense and the kind of romance. You get this kind of very long, steady drum roll that kind of builds up to the drop. Now, I've noticed with these Sunny Federa ones is you don't really get a lot of kind of full-on beats with them. Certainly not the radio mixes. The songs are like 2.5, 3 minutes long, of which probably a minute is the intro, no beat. You maybe get 30, 45 seconds of beat, then another drop, and then a final bit of beat at the end. But it doesn't really matter because it makes great pop dance, and it gives it dynamics, and it works on the radio, and gives you just enough dance, and it's probably a really good longer version anyway. So absolutely great, and it's worth waiting for all the lowlists and skies to get to this kind of stuff. Really is. Really, really good. Now, lots of mountains and stuff in the video, which is brilliant. Talking of mountains, this final song, the Glen Cove, Glen Eagles, Levi Heron provides the music. It is actually a kind of, well, would you call it bouncy techno? Yeah, of course you would. It's Scottish bouncy techno. Version of another song by some band whose name escapes me. Beluga Lagoon, that was it. So Beluga Lagoon provide the vocals. Levi Heron provides these bouncy techno beats. You've got about 20-25 seconds of real bounce. Then it goes very strange, almost like we're following Nathan Evans up the high road. The A84 probably. Let's not get stuck behind a caravan on the way to the Highlands. This kind of makes perfect sense, and it's so fucked up it might just work on a way, because all the elements are Scottish. And I've been talking in these videos for a long time about Scottish dance music, and this is kind of the apotheosis of that. So we've had these two different kind of, we've had a pincer movement, we've had sort of real hard Scottish bouncy techno, and we've had the kind of real folky Nathan Evans Scottish stuff. And this song is where the kind of, they converge, they intersect. So yeah, it's the end of the M9 or something. For such a road. I don't know what to make of it, but I love it. It's stupid and fun, but it's banging. And I love Scotland, and I love mountains, and yeah, it's a great way to end this side, really. So it's been an interesting side. There's been two songs that are like literally the worst two songs I've ever heard in my life. But any side that into this is going to leave you smiling and bumping around the room. What we got on the next half? Well, we go over to the second half now with the second song from our old friend Sabrina Carpenter. And once again, she's back in the old studio that was vacated by Matthew Wilder sometime in 1983. There's still a couple of Linn drums and Yamaha DX7s underneath the dust sheets. And they turned them straight on and got straight down to business with Busy Woman. So it's another chapter in the ever expanding quest for world dominance from Sabrina Carpenter. And yeah, it's as good as the one on side one, if not slightly better. She's really come into this kind of 80s synthpop sound, which I'm a big fan of. I like it, and I think it's as good as she's done. So we like this one. Yeah, it's incredible, really, that this sort of stuff was dated. And now it's really contemporary again. This goes to show what goes around comes around. If anything, I'm reminded a bit of 5 Star or someone like that. Miles Smith follows with his follow-up to Pleased to Meet You, which was incredibly catchy. It's called Gold. It's maybe not quite as catchy, but it's not far from it. It's a bit simplistic and generic, as was the last one. And it kind of feels almost like it was written by AI. It does have a bit of a silly chant bit in the middle, which should have been left on the cutting room floor maybe. But once again, it's monstrously catchy elements, and with just a little more than strum guitar, and occasional thud on the floor for backing. It's definitely not overproduced in that sense. We follow that one with Alex Warren and Jelly Roll, who was also on the last album, uncredited, with One Republic, and that's Bloodline. Another one that's jangly and folky, yet kind of upbeat. It's funny, when Nathan Evans first appeared with The Wellerman, that kind of sea shanty, it did seem like a one-off novelty. But since then, there's been a real resurgence of the kind of Celtic-inspired folk. This one takes a while to reach its climax. once it does, it feels like there's 1,000 people singing all at once, and it gets really big and expansive. So that is Alex Warren with Jelly Roll. Now we're going to follow this one up with the next entry for Jade on here, and I think this one is actually better than the one before. This is called Plastic Box, not Tupperware. Plastic. There was Sabrina and Busy Woman. Yeah, this one is better. I think I prefer it. I think it's got a better song. If anything, it's a bit like Ariana's Twilight Zone. Similar vibe to that. It's not especially catchy, but it is soft and dreamy, and floaty, and it's got kind of nice vocals. I do like the wobbly bass. That gives it a bonus point. So, yep, this one's alright, really. That's Jade and Plastic Box. Benson Boone, he's over singing it. He's too loud. The vocals are just too kind of boy bandy, too intrusive, too in your face. The music's great. It's got more of his fast 80s beats that I go ape over, and it's got some great vintage synth sounds, especially in the chorus. I'd really like to hear more of them and less of the vocals, to be honest. Somber again, and Back to Friends. They're not the best. Somber, these two songs, kind of okay, maybe a bit better than the previous one. The basic sounds there in a kind of early 80s indie way, but it's just a bit plodding and it lacks energy. Something's gone a bit wrong with The Weeknd recently. This one, it's well sung again, it always is. It's got absolutely mellifluous vocals. The synthesizers are absolutely gorgeous, really nice sounds there, but it's a bit underwhelming, and I think it's mainly the beat. It sounds like some lame-ass 2009 beat. It never really goes anywhere. I prefer this sort of 1982, Now That's a Local Music 1, or kind of 80s funk grooves. Let's have some of them back. Now, what I'm going to play now, which I did like a lot, it is Leon Thomas, and it is called Mutt. M-U-T-T. And yeah, this one works. This works because the vocals are far more quiet and unobtrusive in the mix. They're a lot more bedded in. Listen and learn, Benson. This is how vocals work, way better. You can still hear what he's saying. You can still hear every syllable. It's just not as OTT and kind of grating and overbearing. The beats are nice on this one, kind of silky R&B with a sort of 90s tough edge. And it's got this interesting piano, kind of strings, kind of steel drum pad thing. Don't know what you'd call it, but it's good. Much better than Addison Rae, which is garbage. Headphones on, gives me the ick for some reason. Maybe it's because it sounds a bit like Lily Allen, so skip that one. Now, Jessie J used to really give me the ick on many occasions. But Living My Best Life, which is a comeback for her of sorts, is her living her best life. I think it's way better than anything else I've ever heard from her. Yeah, it's not the best song in the world. It does sound like a good half of the other songs on here. She does sing it well, and it totally wipes out any bad vibes from the old stuff, which I like. I do like it. It's happened before. Happened with Charlie XCX, happened with Rita Ora, happened with Ray. You know, they do some songs I really don't like, and then they come up with something that I really do. It's absolutely brilliant. Well, she's not come up with anything absolutely brilliant yet, but this is definitely a step up. So that's all good. Let's hope we don't have to wait another 10 years for her to really hit pay dirt. MGK follows, talking of hitting pay dirt, because he did with bad things, and once you've made it once, you always go down in my memory as someone who's capable of great things. Cliche then. Well, it's quite meta because he's wheeling out a load of cliches deliberately to make a point, which is kind of ironic, I suppose, and quite fun. The beat is more hyper-fast 80s stuff, which gets me on side from day one. Not the best melody, not the worst. I do like the cut of his kid though, so we'll give that one a free pass. And another one that's pretty good, Heart by Heart, Joe Jonas. Again, not particularly memorable, but it's got a nice sound. It fills the room for a few moments. Good, fast, solid backbeat with just a little bit of country. All in all, though, classic pop. Now, talking of country, Ella Henderson, a bit like Chapel Roan. Not the first choice for a kind of country and western singer, but something happened to Ella, and just a year or two ago, she was doing almost, well, pretty much D&B things, wasn't it? Gangsta's Paradise one. And kind of electronic dance with David Guetta and Nathan Dorr and people. Now she's all on country, and she's got fiddles and banjos and line dancing and what have you. But it works. It does work well. She's made this transition, and it's yeah, daring, and it works. I think Me and You, this one, followed by Morgan Wallen, who's well known for making Post Malone good, and I'm the Problem. Was it Ava Max who said maybe you're the problem? Or maybe she was in a situationship with Morgan, and it's his side of the story. And in fact, it's very good. Yeah, it's very good. It's a little bit electronic, but it's more just primarily good old-fashioned country rock, really. Good resonant lyrics. I've really liked Sam Fender's stuff in the past. I think he's really good. But I do find this one a bit syrupy. It's got these kind of gloopy light entertainment Radio 2 strings, smother it. And I don't really think they're necessary. I think it would have been strong enough to succeed without them. So a little bit disappointing, that one. Now, Biffy Clyro is or are back with A Little Love. This one has some big heavy drums in a good 6/8 rhythm, so it's quite fun, pounding away, clattering away, above which you get a kind of almost descending rock chord progression. When it kind of reaches its base, it kind of transitions to sort of pop chorus. So it's a pretty well structured song, maybe a bit bombastic and bloated, but not to danger levels. Follow this one up with Stereophonics and the second part of their return. I must say Kelly Jones is nowhere near as gruff as he used to be. It's Make It On Your Own, and it's actually pretty perky and jolly for a Stereophonic song. They actually seem to have got more interesting with age. It was some of their early stuff was some of their most boring and leaden, and they do seem to have kind of lightened up a bit now. So that's all good. Now, a very interesting number now from Elton and Brandy Carlisle once again, and the song is called Little Richard's Bible. I'm sure you know who Little Richard is. If you don't, check him out. He's one of the pioneers of rock and roll. Absolutely amazing. Did songs like Tutti Frutti, and yeah, this sounds like something of a kind of homage to him. It's very, very rock and roll. It's kind of boogie woogie. Got that kind of good time piano in there. And Elton's in fine voice indeed. It still kind of sounds modern despite being rock and roll. That's what I like about Elton. He's put these modern production values to kind of older styles, and so it works really well. Even if it is a bit kind of like a modern day version of Shakin' Stevens. Who's still going? We should have him back on the now. I think we're long overdue Shaky back on the now. So there we go. Elton and Brandy, Little Richard's Bible. Now we follow off and we round things off. Actually, no. Before we round things off, we've got a couple more. Getting ahead of myself here. It's another weird duet. It's Robbie Williams and Tony Iommi. I'll get this one on, especially in the wake of Ozzy's passing. Have to just take a little detour to say, yeah, R.I.P. to Ozzy. Absolute legend, as I'm sure you all put your own feelings about him. But for me, it was all about Black Sabbath, really, and his musical partnership with Tony Iommi, who's now still going strong. And here he is with Robbie. The song's called Rocket, and it's hard, it's fast, it's raw, and it's raucous, but it's also got a really good song. Robbie can come up with a good melody when he wants to. So that's a winner. Sophie, good old Sophie Ellis-Bextor. She's back, and it's a very nice song indeed. It's called Taste. It's nothing to do with the Sabrina Carpenter one. If anything, it sounds like Lip Sync, Funky Town, or something like that. Outer reaches of 70s disco. Maybe a bit harder edge and less camp than some of the more famous ones, but it's still mild in that era and that aesthetic. So that's a goodie. And a couple to end things off now from Eurovision. Firstly, our entry, What the Hell Just Happened, by Remember Monday, which does sound like it's crammed in every single Eurovision winner and kind of like shoved it through the mangle. And within about 30 seconds, you feel like you've heard every song ever by ABBA and Bucks Fizz. It didn't actually work though, it didn't win, which is a shame. Because the one that won, I suppose I should play out with it, is JJ and Wasted Love. That's my good friend and collaborator JJ Lacey, who definitely could win Eurovision if he wanted. Do check out his stuff. And also, while you're there, do check out my Highway 62 band channel, like and subscribe. Highway 62. But I digress. Now, at the end of side one, it was kind of mountains and indigenous dance music from Scotland. We've kind of got the same thing here. We've got mountains and indigenous music from Austria. Only instead of kind of Scottish folk about heather and glens and stuff, it's operatic about, well, I'm guessing wasted love. It did win. It did very well indeed. So we have to give it credit for that. Let's have a listen, see what you think. And I will tell you the highlights of the album over it. Yeah, it starts off this kind of gentle opera thing and then kind of goes a bit techno-y in the middle. The Eurovision judges loved it. So obviously fit for purpose. Now 1-2-1. I've enjoyed it. I feel like I've rattled through it. I feel that it's not really got a lot of kind of depth per se. I think a lot of these songs are maybe fairly ephemeral, but they're not really bad. There's only about 3 that I thought were really appalling on here, and I only wasted about 9 seconds of my life on them. At least they were instantly appalling. I didn't have to wait to sort of see if they were. I knew they'd be appalling from day one, from second one, so I didn't waste any more time. And that's Sky Newman, Lola Young and Addison Rae. Sorry guys, not good. But everything else, the 2 Clementine Douglas ones are brilliant, and the producers she's worked with do great jobs. Calvin Harris does a great job, Sonny Fodera does a great job, so we like them. Very impressed with Sabrina Carpenter's 2 songs. I think they're the best thing she's ever done, and they go well together as a kind of double piece. That's Manchild and Busy Woman. Kind of impressed with Ed's comeback, Azizam. I think it's quite a brave and fun and interesting comeback. And whereas Ed can either be awful or really good, I think On This One is actually really good. So fair play. Not a fan on Tate McRae and Lady Gaga. I kind of prefer Mystical Monkey Cool by Benson Boone. I definitely prefer it to the other one he did. The music on both is good, but his voice is too loud and too overwrought. Always going to be a fan of Chaperone, and The Giver doesn't disappoint. Surprises, because it moves into country, but it's still good. Couple from Somber that aren't great. The one from Raven, yeah, it's alright, I suppose. Couple from Alex that are pretty good. Ariana was okay. Twilight Zone. 2 from Cade, of which I preferred Plastic Box, definitely. Olivia Dean was okay. Lana Del Rey was okay. Charlie XCX was okay. Haim was slightly better than okay. David Guetta is not as good as Titanium, but still pretty good. And then some real good club ones from Max Dean, Luke Dean and Lockie, Sonny Fodera and Clementine Douglas, and Levi Heron and Big Glenn. And Vodka Ryan Brew was a drink indeed. Sabrina Carpenter, as I said, Busy Woman, kicks us off side 2. Miles Smith is adequate. What's really good on here? Well, Cry For Me by the Weekend's a bit meh. Mutt, that was a good one. And then as we get towards the end, we get some good, more rocky ones from Biffy Clyro, Stereophonics, Elton and Brandy, Robbie and Tony Iommi, more disco from Sophie, and a couple of Eurovision moments there. I'll have to think about what's best song on this, but I've enjoyed it, and I hope you have too, and I hope you enjoyed to talk about it. To anyone who gets disappointed, it is just me talking. That's the point. I can't just stick on songs now on YouTube. They just get taken down immediately. It's got to be transformative. And it's about the songs, and it's about where they tell us about us as a society right now in these weird times. So make of that what you will. See you later.